Welcome to the second episode of the new year. I know that now is a time when we all put so much pressure on ourselves to transform, to be better, to finally heal from your past. New year, new you, right? But what if I told you that all the effort you were going to put in was going to fall flat? And not for lack of trying, but because you're missing one crucial first step. If you have a history of giving up on New Year's resolutions, or if you've given up on setting them altogether, I need you to hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken, and you are not failing. What's happening is much simpler and much kinder than what we've been led to believe. Your nervous system is trying to protect you from the unknown, from change, from the unfamiliar. And until we help your body feel safe again, no amount of mindset work, emotional processing, or spiritual insight is going to fully land. Today's episode is all about nervous system regulation and why learning to calm your nervous system is often the first step to healing from trauma, from anxiety, from chronic stress, and emotional overwhelm. We're going to talk about the truth behind the phrase trauma is stored in the body and what that actually means in real life, and why so many well meaning healing approaches fail when the body is still stuck in survival mode. Here's the paradox that changes everything. The very responses that kept you alive during trauma are often the same responses that keep you stuck long after danger's past. Your body is not betraying you. It's doing exactly what it learned to do to survive. It just hasn't gotten the message yet that you're safe now. In this episode, I'm going to gently walk you through how the nervous system works in simple human terms. We'll talk about why advice like just think positive, face your fears, or process your emotions can actually backfire when your system is dysregulated. And most importantly, I'll help you understand what state your body needs to be in for healing to truly happen. If you've ever felt like healing just feels out of reach, like you know what to do intellectually, but you can't get your body to cooperate, this episode is for you. This information has the power to change how you see yourself, your symptoms, and your entire healing journey. So take a breath with me, and let's begin by giving your nervous system the understanding and compassion that it's been waiting for. Welcome to Jotindi, Journey to the Inner Divine, a sacred space for healing energy, emotional release, and soulful transformation. If you're ready to live with joy, ease, and purpose, you're in the right place. Before we go any further, I want us to slow down for a second. If you're listening to this because you feel anxious, overwhelmed, numb, exhausted, or stuck in patterns that you can't seem to break, I want you to hear this clearly. Nothing has gone wrong. You're not failing at healing, and you're not resisting on purpose, and you're definitely not broken. What you're experiencing makes sense when we understand what your nervous system has been doing to keep you safe. So many of us jump straight into the mindset work, the emotional processing, or spiritual practices, and then get frustrated when they don't stick. And we wonder why we know better but still react in the same way, or why we understand our patterns but can't seem to change them, or why we visualize, journal, pray, or try to manifest, and yet our body still feels stuck on high alert or completely shut down. And that's because healing doesn't start in the mind. It starts in the body. Before we can release trauma, access our intuition, or create meaningful change, our nervous system has to feel safe enough to let us. That safety is the doorway to everything else. So in the next part of this episode, I want to give you a simple, compassionate understanding of how your nervous system works, why it's been responding the way that it has, and how that knowledge alone can begin to shift your healing journey. So let's start with the basics. Here's what's actually happening and why it makes perfect sense. When you experienced trauma, whether it was one big event or 1,000 small wounds over time, your nervous system learned something crucial. The world is not safe. And your nervous system's entire job is to keep you alive. So it started developing strategies to protect you. Maybe you learned to shut down emotionally so that you didn't feel the pain. Maybe you became hypervigilant, always scanning for danger. Or maybe you learned to people please so you wouldn't be hurt again. Maybe you disconnected from your body entirely because being present felt too dangerous. And these weren't conscious choices. Your nervous system made these adaptations without asking your permission because it was trying to save your life. And here's the thing. Those strategies, they worked. You survived. You're here. You made it through. But now, years later, those same protective strategies that saved you, they're keeping you stuck. Your nervous system is still operating like the threat is present, like you're still in danger, even when you consciously know that you're not. So when you think about healing or therapy, processing your emotions, about being vulnerable and feeling your feelings, your nervous system reads that as a threat. It's saying the last time we opened up and felt things, we got hurt. The last time we trusted someone, we were betrayed. The last time we let our guard down, something terrible happened. So no, absolutely not. We are not doing that again. And even though your conscious mind is saying, but I want to heal, I'm ready, I need this, your nervous system has that veto power and it's using it. That's why you feel paralyzed. It's why you shut down. That's why every healing option feels impossible. Your body is trying to protect you from what it perceives as danger, even though that danger is healing itself. This is the paradox of trauma. The very thing that kept you safe is now keeping you stuck, and you can't think your way out of it because this isn't happening in your thinking brain. It's happening in your survival brain, in your body, in your nervous system. And that's actually really important to understand because it means that you're not doing anything wrong, that there's nothing broken about you that needs to get fixed. Your body is functioning exactly as it should. It's just functioning based on old information. The work isn't about overriding your nervous system or forcing yourself to be braver or pushing through the fear. The work is about helping your nervous system get new information that says we're not in danger anymore. It's safe to feel. It's safe to heal. And it's safe to be here right now. And that starts with one simple thing: teaching your body what safety feels like. So I want to dive a little deeper into your nervous system because once you understand what's going on, you'll have a much easier time working with it with compassion and kindness towards yourself. So basically, your nervous system has 3 states: safe and social, fight or flight, and freeze and shut down. The first safe and social one is called our ventral vagal. The ventral vagal system is a key part of your parasympathetic nervous system. It represents the state where you feel calm and connected, regulated, and engaged with the world. This is where your healing happens. You feel calm and present. You can think clearly and make good decisions. And you're open to connection and growth. The second is our fight or flight system, or our sympathetic nervous system. This is your body's alarm system. When your brain perceives danger, whether that's a car swerving into your lane or just an email from your boss, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in to help you survive. And here's what it does. Your heart starts racing. Your breath gets faster and shallower. Your muscles tense up. You prepare to fight or to run. Your pupils dilate so you can see better. And all the non-essential stuff, like digesting your lunch, gets put on pause because your body is focused on one thing: survival. This system is incredibly useful when you're actually in danger. It gives you the energy and the focus to respond quickly. But the problem is that your nervous system can't tell the difference between a real threat, like a bear chasing you, and a perceived threat, like remembering something painful from your past or worrying about that upcoming difficult conversation. So, if you've experienced trauma, your sympathetic nervous system might be activated way more often than it should be. You're living in a constant state of danger, even when you're actually safe. And when you're in that state, healing feels impossible because your body thinks it's trying to survive, not heal. Then we have the freeze or shutdown state. This is what we call dorsal vagal. This is what happens when your system decides that fighting or running isn't going to work anymore. So instead, it just pulls the plug. Your energy drops, everything slows down. This can show up as depression, deep exhaustion, numbness, or that feeling of being disconnected from yourself and the world around you. You might feel flat, foggy, unmotivated, or like you're watching your life from the outside instead of actually living it. And this is not laziness. It's not weakness. It's your nervous system trying to conserve energy and protect you from overwhelm. And just like with fight or flight, healing doesn't really happen here either because your system is too shut down to engage. There's no capacity yet for processing, growth, or change. And here's the part that matters the most. A lot of people with trauma spend their lives bouncing back and forth between fight and flight and freeze and shutdown. One moment they're anxious and on edge, overthinking everything. The next, they're numb, withdrawn, exhausted. It goes up and down, activated, collapsed. And the state where healing actually happens, the place where you feel calm and connected, present and open, that ventral vagal state can feel almost unreachable, like something other people have access to, but not you. And that is how I lived most of my adult life, flip-flopping between super high stress and completely exhausted. And here's an example from my own life. When I lived in LA, I was in a very toxic relationship, one that kept me activated at all times. At night, my body was so exhausted that I wouldn't go to sleep like a normal person. I would pass out. I would turn off, like someone took out my batteries. One night, there was a shooting outside my bedroom window, and I did not even hear it. The next morning, my ex asked me about it. And in fact, he had thrown himself on top of me to shield me in case there was more gunfire. And even that didn't wake me. I had no memory whatsoever of this. I didn't even wake up. My system was so overworked that when I turned it off at night, I literally turned off. It's like that saying, I was dead to the world. That was me. My poor body was just trying to get a break from all of the madness. And if that's been your experience, constantly shifting from fight or flight to freeze and back and forth, I want you to hear this clearly. It's not because you're broken. Nothing like that. There's nothing wrong with you. It's because your nervous system has actually been working overtime to protect you. And with the right support, that sense of safety and connection can be rebuilt. You can learn to let your body soften and relax into an appropriate response for your situation. You don't have to live like that anymore. So, why does this even matter? It matters because you can't process trauma when your body thinks it is still happening. You can't think your way out when you're in survival mode. And you can't access your intuition or your inner wisdom when you're dysregulated. So now that you have a basic understanding of how the nervous system works, I want you to pause for a moment and let this really land. If your body is stuck in survival mode, if it's constantly scanning for danger, bracing for impact, or shutting down just to get through the day, then it makes complete sense why healing has felt so hard. Not because you're resistant, not because you're avoiding the work, but because your system hasn't felt safe enough to do it yet. And this is where so many healing journeys go off track. Because once someone realizes they have trauma, the messages they often receive are, okay, now you need to face it, talk about it, dig into it, feel everything all at once, push through that discomfort, be brave. But if your nervous system still believes that you're in danger, that approach doesn't feel like healing to your body. It feels like another threat. So before we talk about processing trauma, before we talk about revisiting the past or working through painful memories, we have to talk about safety. Because healing doesn't begin with reliving what hurt you. It begins with teaching your body that you're not there anymore, that you're here, that you're safe enough now to begin. And that brings us to the most important reframe of this entire episode. The first step isn't facing your trauma, it's building safety. Here's what most healing approaches get wrong. They want you to dive into your trauma, talk about it, process it, feel all the feelings. But if your nervous system doesn't feel safe, that's not really healing, and it can be re traumatizing. What actually needs to happen first is you need to help your body remember what safety is like. That's it. That's the whole first step. Now, you might be wondering what building safety actually means. And I'm glad you asked because it's super important to know. First, there's your physical safety signals, your environment. Is your home a calm space or does it feel chaotic? There's your relationships. Are you around people who feel safe or people who activate you? You have your basic needs. Are you eating, sleeping, moving your body? Be honest with yourself. If one or more of these is off, that's okay. You can work around it. If your home feels chaotic, you can go to a park that feels peaceful and spend some time outside. If your relationships are activating, can you take some time for yourself in the bath or a solo weekend camping trip? There are ways to work peace into your life, even if you can't do a big overhaul right away. Next is nervous system regulation practices. These aren't about fixing your trauma yet. They're about teaching your body that it's safe right now. Simple practices that bring you back to the present moment, building your capacity to feel calm, even if for brief moments here and there. Looking back at that toxic relationship that I mentioned, this particular piece was a saving grace for me. Small reminders that in this moment, I'm safe. Taking a few breaths, taking a short walk, or taking a bath. Giving myself time to settle a few times a day gave my body what it needed to start shifting out of that fight, flight, and freeze mode. And remember, it's okay to go slow. You don't have to do everything at once. Small, gentle steps are more effective than big, dramatic breakthroughs. Your body needs time to integrate each new level of safety before introducing more. And trying to do too much too soon could send a signal to your body that you aren't looking out for it, and it can begin to resist the deep healing that you're offering it. When your body feels safe, everything else becomes possible. Your intuition comes back online. Your emotions become manageable instead of overwhelming. You can finally access the deeper healing work without it destroying you. And the glimpse of relief in this is that you don't have to be ready to face your biggest trauma today. You don't have to have a breakthrough. You just have to help your body feel a little bit safer than it did yesterday. Okay, so now you're probably wondering, what do I actually do? So here are the 3 gentlest, most accessible entry points that I can think of right now. Practice number 1 is going to be orienting. And this is teaching your body that it's safe. This is a simple practice borrowed from somatic experiencing. You're going to sit or stand where you are. Slowly look around the room. Let your eyes land on things that feel neutral or pleasant, like a plant, a window, or a cozy blanket. Notice the temperature of the air, the sounds around you, the feeling of your feet on the ground. And say to yourself, out loud or silently, right now, in this moment, I am safe. Now, this works because your nervous system is stuck in the past. Orienting brings you into the present and gives your body evidence that you're not in danger right now. And you can use this practice anytime that you feel anxious, overwhelmed, or disconnected. Practice number 2 is the grounding breath. You can begin to regulate your system in 60 seconds. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. And exhale through your mouth with an audible sigh for a count of 6. And you're going to repeat this 3 to 5 times. Kind of silly, but it gets the job done. This works because the exhale activates your parasympathetic system or your calm down system. That sigh releases your tension. And you can use this before diving into anything that feels activating or when you notice that you're holding your breath. And practice 3, the glimmer practice. This is training your system to notice safety. Glimmers are the opposite of triggers. They're small moments of safety, calm, or joy. Throughout your day, you're going to notice tiny moments that feel good, like warm sunlight on your skin, a kind smile, your favorite song playing, or that first sip of tea. You're going to pause for just 5 seconds and let yourself actually feel it. And then say to yourself, this feels good. I'm allowed to feel this. Now, why this works is your nervous system has been trained to scan for danger, and this practice trains it to scan for safety instead. And you can use this practice every single day, as many times as you notice a glimmer. And the most important thing to remember is that you don't have to do all 3 of these. You don't even have to do them perfectly. Just pick one that feels doable and try it for a week. That's it. That's the whole assignment. Healing isn't about forcing yourself to do big, hard things. It's about taking small, aligned actions that feel safe enough to try. And that's how you build trust with yourself. So now you're saying, okay, so I'm building safety. Now what? Safety isn't a one-time achievement, unfortunately. It is an ongoing practice. But as you build more capacity for regulation, here is what becomes possible. Once your body feels safer, you can start exploring your emotions without being consumed by them. You can try energy clearing practices like breath work, meditation, or energy healing, and have them actually land. You can set boundaries without your whole system panicking. You can connect with your intuition because you're no longer in survival mode. And you can build community and actually let people in. The progression of doing these practices looks kind of like this. First, you're going to learn safety and regulation. This is where we are right now. Then you can move on to gentle emotional release and processing that trauma. After that, you can dig into the deeper trauma work and really get through it. Then you get to begin integration and rebuilding your life from a regulated place. And isn't that what we're all here to learn to do? I do want to include one important caveat in all of this, that it isn't a linear path. You'll move forward, then you'll need to come back to safety practices. That's normal. That's not failure. That's how healing works. And you don't have to do it alone. In fact, healing happens faster in the presence of safe others. So when you're ready, community becomes part of the medicine. And I have just the network for you if you're interested. There's a link in the show notes. So if you've been carrying your trauma for years, or maybe decades, there's probably part of you that doesn't believe healing is possible anymore. And that part has tried so many things and been disappointed so many times that it feels like hope is dangerous. I want to speak directly to that part of you. Okay, you're not broken. You're not too far gone. You haven't missed your chance to heal. Your body is doing exactly what it was designed to do. It is protecting you. And that's not something to override or fight against. It's something to work with gently and patiently. Healing doesn't have to look like a big dramatic transformation. It can look like one moment where you felt slightly less anxious than usual. One day where you set a small boundary and didn't collapse afterward. One breath where you felt actually present in your body. Those tiny moments, they're not nothing. They're everything. They're your nervous system learning that safety is possible. You don't have to heal all at once. You don't have to be better by some arbitrary timeline. You just have to take one small step toward healing your body. And I promise you, that one small step is enough. And this is where everything starts to come together. When we talk about healing happening one small step at a time, this is exactly why. You are not meant to force yourself into deep emotional work when your body is overwhelmed. You are not meant to push through fear, override your instincts, or demand breakthroughs from a system that is still trying to protect you. Those small steps that we talked about, the breath, the pause, the gentle awareness, they aren't too small to matter. They're actually teaching your nervous system something new. They're showing your body slowly and consistently that it doesn't have to stay on high alert, that it's allowed to soften, that it's safe enough right now to begin shifting. And once you understand that, the entire healing process looks different. It becomes less about fixing yourself and more about creating the conditions where healing can naturally happen. So before we close, I want to bring this all back to the core truth underneath everything that we've talked about today. Trauma healing starts with safety, not with facing your trauma. Your nervous system needs to feel safe before any other healing work can land. And small, gentle practices are more effective than forcing big breakthroughs. Your one action step for this week is to pick one of those practices that I shared today. Try it, even if it's just 5 minutes a day for the next week. No pressure to do more. Just notice what happens when you give your body small moments of safety. And if you want more support, I've created a free guide called the Nervous System Reset Guide with simple practices that you can start today. Get yours at mariahaurora.com/freebie/reset, or you can find the link in the show notes. And if you want to be around others who are on this healing journey, join my free Facebook group where we talk about this work in a safe, non-judgmental space. It's facebook.com/groups/Jotindi. And remember, your body is not your enemy. Your nervous system is not broken. You're just still learning what safety feels like. And that learning, it's already healing. Thank you for trusting me with your time today. Thank you for being here, for trying, for not giving up on yourself. You deserve to feel safe in your own body, and it's possible. I promise you, it's possible. Until next time, remember, there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path.